Awesome. Hi, welcome to our first session of SimScale. Here's Sebastian.
Hello,
Would you
everybody.
like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sebastian with the company now for over 3 years. Have jumped through a lot of different roles in my time here. Very exciting ride so far. And for the last 6 months, I am part now of the product team here at SimScale, and specifically in charge of the user interface, including the simulation community and our workbench.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience prior to SimScale?
Sure. I'm actually very fresh. Straight off from university, I jumped into SimScale. I have majored in both physics and business administration. Always been passionate about entrepreneurship, so kind of by chance, I got in touch with SimScale, and it's been a fun ride so far.
What's your favorite part about SimScale?
I mean, obviously, the product itself, we are doing something very exciting, but if I had to pick one thing that's awesome about working here at SimScale, it's certainly the team. We are super international, people from all around the world, a lot of different cultures. Really great to work here.
Awesome. All right, so I guess to start us off, what we're going to do is take some questions from social media and then jump to any live questions we have from our live audience. So we will start with Twitter. So our first question on Twitter comes to us from Yosef. He says, will there be another community contest in the near future?
Good question, Yosef. As far as I know, yes. I think there's one upcoming in June, so about a month from now. But as far as I know, I'm not allowed to spoil the topic quite yet, to not give anybody an unfair advantage. But I can tell you as much as it's supposed to be something summer themed.
Yeah, correct. All right. Our next question comes to us from Matt. He says, past CFD programs I've used will only allow me to run one simulation at a time. Does SimScale allow multiple simulations to be run at the same time?
Simple answer is yes, definitely. That's what SimScale is all about. That's essentially the power of the cloud, right? You do not use any of your local computational resources, the hardware of your laptop, to run any simulation or meshing job. Any simulation run or meshing run that you start is computed completely in the cloud. So go wild, start as many simulations as you want at the same time. That's what makes SimScale so powerful.
Awesome. All right, that wraps up Twitter. So now we'll jump to Facebook. Our first question from Facebook comes to us from Theo, who says, I've used SimScale loads in the past, but the new meshing workflow is a bit unintuitive. Why was this changed recently?
A very good question, and let me explain this to you in a bit of detail. Simulation itself, or simulation as a whole, is not super intuitive to a lot of people. And the main goal behind SimScale is to make simulation accessible to everybody. If you are used to our past workflow, where you first had to create a mesh and then could set up your simulation based on that, it confused a lot of novices to simulation, because the concept of meshing is not something that you know if you have never been exposed to simulation before. Obviously, you know it if you have studied in your university or have done any kind of simulation work in the past. But as somebody who is new to simulation and just wants to get some actionable results out of it, ideally, doesn't most likely know what meshing is about. So what our goal is here now is to or the end goal here is to use your simulation setup, all the boundary conditions that you define, the physics of your setup, to kind of anticipate what the ideal mesh for your simulation should look like. What we did recently was a first step in this direction, but we are certainly not there yet. So we are completely aware that it's right now a bit of an awkward phase where we kind of want to get somewhere where meshing is not something that you have to do actively anymore as a user. You still can, of course, but ideally the meshing should be taken out of your hands and be automated as much as possible. That's our goal behind this change. We are not yet there, and we will ship improvements to the current workflow shortly, but that's just as a short explanation of where we currently are.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for clearing that up. All right, our next question comes to us from Jasmine, who, it's a bit of an easier question, I think. Is SimScale easy to use for students?
I would say yes. I think generally simulation in general is not that super easy. I have to admit, but looking at all the other tools that are out there, I would confidently say that simulation is with SimScale is probably one of the easiest. So obviously there is a bit of a learning curve involved still, but the goal behind SimScale specifically is that you want to make simulation as intuitive and easy as possible. So ideally you should have a problem at hand and just open up SimScale, move through the simulation workflow as intuitively as possible and get results out of it. That's where we want to be. You still have a bit to go, but that's definitely our aspiration.
Awesome. All right. Well, at this point, we would take some live questions, but I don't believe we have any yet, but that's okay. So I guess we will wrap up our first session, but do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about our next session?
Sure. I think our next session is with two of our application engineers who really know simulation in way more detail than I do. So stay tuned for that. And
actually,
prepare all of your questions that dive deep into the simulation knowledge.
Awesome. We actually do have a live question,
awesome.
Right under the wire. Well done. From Angel on YouTube. So, hey, can I use simulation for thermal hydraulics in nuclear reactors?
Oh, that's probably it was good that I already announced the next session, because that's a perfect question for application engineers to answer. I would need to know a bit more about the application that you are looking for, but feel free to drop me an email or mention me in our forum, and I'm happy to get back to you.
All right. We have another question from Raul, but it's a bit too technical, so we're going to save it for next time. But from all of us here at SimScale, thank you for listening in on our first session, and we hope that we see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Bye.